Hello everyone, I am Deeksha from SVCE and today we'll be discussing about system calls and types of system calls in operating systems. Let us look at the topics we'll be discussing in today's video. Contents: Introduction to system calls, then we have types of system calls. In types of system calls, we have communication system calls, memory management system calls, file system calls, time system calls, network system calls, and then conclusion. So let's get started with the introduction. Introduction to system calls. System calls are the interface between a user program and the operating system. They allow user programs to request services from the operating system. System calls provide an abstraction layer hiding the complexity of the underlying hardware. Types of system calls. We have process control, file management, and device management system calls. Process control. These system calls create, terminate, and control processes. File management system calls. These system calls manipulate files and directories. Device management system calls. These system calls control and communicate with devices. Process control system calls. We have fork, exec, and wait. Fork creates a new process by duplicating the existing process. Exec, it replaces the current process with a new executable file. Wait suspends the execution of a process until its child process terminates. We have file management system calls. Open, read, write. Open opens a file and returns a file descriptor for further operations. Read reads data from an open file into a buffer. Write writes a data from buffer to an open file. Close, seek, and delete. This is the continuation of file management system calls. Close closes an open file and releases its resources. Seek changes the position of the file pointer within a file. Delete removes a file from the file system. Device management system calls. Open, read, write. Open, it opens a device and returns a file descriptor for further operations. Read, reads data from a device into a buffer. Write, it writes data from a buffer to a device. Close, control, and status. This is the continuation of device management system calls. Close closes an open device and releases its resources. Control sends control commands to a device. Status retrieves the status of a device. Communication system calls. We have socket, connect, and send. Socket creates a communication endpoint for network communication. Connect establishes a connect to a remote socket. Send sends data over a network connection. Receive, listen, and accept. This is the continuation of communication system calls. Receive receives data from a network connection. Listen listens for incoming connections on a socket. Accept accepts an incoming connections on a socket. Memory management system calls: allocate, free, and map. Allocate, it allocates a block of memory for a process. Free, it releases a block of memory previously allocated. Map, it maps a file into a process's address space. Unmap, protect, and share. This is a continuation of memory management system calls. Unmaps a file from a process's address space. Protect changes the protection attributes of a memory region. Share shares memory between processes. File system calls: mount, unmount, and format. Mount, it mounts a file system onto a directory in the file hierarchy. Unmount, it unmounts a file system from a directory. Format, it formats a storage device to be used by a file system. Time system calls: get time, set time, and sleep. Get time retrieves the current system time. Set time sets the system time to a specified value. Sleep, it suspends the execution of a process for a specified duration. Network system calls: resolve, bind, and disconnect. Resolve, it resolves a host name to an IP address. Bind, associates a socket with a specific network address and port. Disconnect, disconnects a socket from a remote endpoint. Finally, the conclusion. System calls are essential for user programs to interact with the operating system. Different types of system calls provide access to various operating system services. Understanding system calls is crucial for developing and managing operating systems. So that is it about the system call and different types of system calls. Thank you.